Conservative radio host Larry Elder, who has previously been a strong supporter of former President Trump, railed against the former president's ability to attract swing voters going into the 2024 presidential election. Elder, who announced his own GOP bid for the 2024 presidential election last month, said in an interview on Fox News on Friday that he supports what Trump did as president, and so do other Republicans, but they are rightfully concerned that he cannot win over swing voters, especially suburban women. They're very concerned, and I think rightfully so, that a sufficient number of swing voters, especially suburban women, would not vote for the man if he walked on water, Elder told Fox News tonight guest host Trey Gowdy. In fact, if he did, they'd say he cannot swim. Elder also mentioned his experience losing friends because of his support for Trump and hinted that others have to. If you've lost friends because of Donald Trump, and I've lost 3 friends I've known for almost 40 years, 2 of whom I practice law with, if you no longer can talk to coworkers at work because of Donald Trump, if you have strained relations with your family members because of Donald Trump, I submit to you, Trey, Houston, we've got a problem, he told Gowdy, who is a former GOP congressman from South Carolina. He added that Trump did not invent the idea of tax cuts or building a border wall on the U.S. southern border, but he likes Trump's policies. He has been very, very successful in implementing Republican policies. I'm from the Republican wing of the Republican Party. And if you fear that we may get another reenact between Trump and Biden and fear that Biden may beat him again, you need a vehicle to push those policies, and I'm that vehicle. The radio host previously said while he was considering a bid for the presidency, that if he were to run, he would not feel that he is running against Trump or any Republican, but against Biden. Elder, who ran unsuccessfully in 2021 attempted recall election against California Governor Gavin Newsom, also asked viewers to give donations to his campaign to ensure he can qualify to participate in the GOP primary debates later this year. Once I do, it's game on, hold my beer. I actually might donate to his campaign because I'm all for seeing him actually try to be next to Trump or DeSantis and what type of witty comeback he can make to respond to them. I think he's a pretty effective. I'm not going to call him a debater, but he's someone who's got a silver tongue. He's pretty good when it comes to just responding to when people are talking and they're saying something he doesn't agree with, and just having a good rebuttal. I used to watch his interview with Piers Morgan, for example. So here's the thing. He can say that he's worried Trump might not be able to get female voters, for example, swing voters, he calls them. I don't think Elder would have as hard of a time, but I also don't think he's anyone that would be particularly appealing to women voters either, especially, in a hypothetical where he wins, and I said before, I can't see him winning really any states or even the nomination, because we know how the black Republicans go when they run for president. But be that as it may, let's just say he's the nominee. They're going to dig up his past comments about women, right? About oh, this woman said I did something to her. If you saw the way she looked, then I would, that type of stuff. And he has said things like that. And I think they're going to magnify it, and they're going to say, look, he's not as bad as Trump. He's never, he's not under any kind of trial or investigation, but he certainly is someone who's had allegations levied at him, in addition to making comments that people have deemed sexist. So, and again, there's a lot of voters who just don't care about that stuff. Trump wouldn't have won if that was not the, something that bothered a very large, significant number of people. But I still would say he's not as ironclad of someone who can attract them as he would probably try to get himself to believe. And again, he does the same thing all the other Republican candidates are doing, which is he doesn't stake out a lane for himself on policy. He says Trump has been very successful in implementing Republican policies. Actually, that's I'd call it a half-truth, because while he was able to appoint Supreme Court justices and repeal the individual mandate of Obamacare, he didn't get to have his own direct repeal, nor did he get to pass the American Health Care Act, which is what they call Trump Care. He didn't get to finish the border wall. There's plenty of ways in which Trump did not successfully implement something that he said he would do. So I really wish, and again, Elder's got I was hoping, because he's not an office holder, and he's not someone who to me feels like they're as into I need to kind of not be as harsh with Trump so that I can appeal to his voters. I really thought maybe he could be the wrecking ball of hey, you guys don't want to see the only person who lost to Biden run against him again and lose again, and then we're stuck with him for 4. I was really hoping he'd be more of that kind of person, but it just seems like he's too afraid, along with the rest of the field. So it's not just a specific critique of him, but they're just too afraid to burn Trump and say he lost. He's the only one on this stage that lost to Biden. I agree with him on most of his priorities, but I differ with him on this, that, or the other. I mean, so like I said, I just wish that we could get some like in a Republican primary. I want to see people disagreeing with each other and bringing new ideas, and a lot of the new ideas just kind of seem like if it's new, it's something stupid like the mandatory mental competency test that Haley was talking about, or the raising the voting age to 25 that Ramaswamy was talking about, and Elder still doesn't have a lane. I still can't think of any particular policy that he's proposing that if I'm a person who's considering Trump, because that's what the Republican voters are, they're all Trump leaning, but they're leaning towards him, but they might consider somebody else. I can't tell you why anybody would pick him over Trump. So again, I would like to see him on the debate stage because I think that would be fun. But as far as do I think he has a realistic chance of getting the nomination, at this point, no, and probably for the rest of the race, I'm going to say no. And it's, again, I'm not trying to be unfair to him. It's just him and Scott have the same problem, and him more so than Scott, actually.